I'd like to get back to Paul Duffy. Paul, the evidence, so-called, against your brother is that they say a car, they have no evidence that he was in it, was observed next to the barracks before the shooting, and now they say they have a tip of a glove recovered from that car that allegedly has his DNA on it. Now, he was detained, I believe, on the 14th. If any of this evidence exists, wouldn't they have had it then?
No. The case is, I've been speaking to people who are in relation to it, via Colin, and the point is that at that there was an inspector in charge of the case, and he actually said in the court hearing and the review of the detention that he outlined the evidence that there was, and he admitted in the court that the evidence that they had examined at that particular time didn't connect Colin to the incident. So the family is really, really concerned at this latest development, that they're saying that there's they found evidence of DNA on the tip of a latex glove. That only arrived an hour before Colin was due to be released, and it wasn't prioritised by the forensics prior to that, because there was a list that was actually put across to Colin's legal team prior to that, and it was not down for a priority testing. So, there's all sorts of questions as to, whether this does exist, whether how, if it is the case that there's DNA on the tip of this glove, how does it get there? The whole timing of it, people are just talking to family, and they're saying, hold on here, this is just, beyond, it's just incredible that they can actually do this, and produce something this late and just detain him. It's a family strong belief that they will go to any lengths in order to detain Colin. As Bratton outlined earlier there, it is a historical thing, he mentioned about 1990, with the incident where a close friend of Colin's, where Sam was shot dead, and Colin is one of the remaining witnesses there. This ongoing persecution by, British military intelligence in relation to my brother, that just didn't start there and didn't finish there. Colin has been arrested, charged. He's been along this sort of conveyor belt system before. He's been arrested, charged, convicted, and released, on appeal on numerous other occasions, from 1990 to date. So the family from the outset, when they did arrest Colin, given there was a lot of media hype and all, which must be said also, prior to Colin's arrest, where his name was being bandied about in papers, and local politicians were even basically, without actually mentioning his name, but pointing the finger at him prior to his arrest. So we were concerned at that time that Colin was going to be arrested. When that did happen, we actually believed then that they were going to go the full hog again. They were just going to continue, charge him, and if it went to the court, he could end up getting convicted again. He's going to lose another 3-4 years of his life, waiting on a trial, which which will drag out. So it's our belief, that it is another form of internment.
Yeah, well, Paul, also it's been reported in the media that your brother Colin, who's being charged with the shooting of 2 British soldiers in Ireland, was on hunger strike, and that he continues to be on hunger strike. And can you explain the scene of the loyalist mob that was outside? Because had it not been for the BBC report, I've read a lot of reports in the Irish News and Belfast Telegraph. None of them mention about the loyalist mob outside the court. But what is the condition of your brother, and what was the scene like outside the court?
Well, in relation to my brother's condition, Colin said from the outset, that he wanted to protest in relation to his detention. Now, the detention issue is that they can hold you 28 days before they could even charge you. They subsequently have charged Colin. Colin has ceased his protest in relation to refusing food. His protest was based on the 28-day detention. He said that he would not be eating food in protest at that detention. Once they actually charged Colin, they've remanded him to Gabry prison, and that's where Colin sits now. Once he was charged, he began eating food again.
And
sorry, in relation to the loyalist mob, the family, once again, it's, the factor of how, this process has panned out, and it's not just a fact in Colin, it's a fact in the family, and, the family believe that they actually went out of their way, because Lauren would be what would be classed as a unionist area. There wouldn't be too many nationalist people in it. So they chose the setting for his court. Even the family had a hard time, trying to get down to the court. They had to travel a lot. You had to rely on friends, and which was no problem. Which was very forthcoming. People did rally around us, and we made our way to the court. It was hostile. When we actually left the court, there was a lot of loyalists running about and shouting things and whatever. I would appeal to people like that to be calm, and to tone around, because this 28-day detention and the way they've just rolled Colin right through this whole process, this can happen to anyone, and I would call them to support calls on basis of that it could be happening to them, and who's next,
And Brendan, I want to get back to you. Can you talk about some of the support Colin has received, especially in the Lurgan-Portadown area?
Well, on Thursday night, for example, there was a meeting called, and it was called at very short notice, less than 24 hours notice. Over 250 people attended a meeting in a local community centre. Some of those people actually travelled from different parts of the 6 counties to come along and demonstrate their support. What is clear is that there's a great anger building up within the nationalist and Republican community right across the 6 counties regarding the actions of the RUC PSNI over the last number of weeks, the introduction into Ireland of this 28-day detention period, the fact that anyone can be arrested without any suspicion at all or without any evidence at all, and that in itself is an indictment for those nationalist and Republican politicians who fly backwards and forwards from the 6 counties over to America to tell Irish America that they have been able to deliver an acceptable and accountable British policing system in Ireland. Those people must be challenged by people in America, by Irish Americans, to now concede that those stories and those lies that they have told are actually lying in tatters now. That those people who said that they would put manners in the PSA should be forced to admit their failure.
Well, Brendan, what you say he's had huge support, and I believe there's a picket in Belfast today. What about Sinn Féin? Has Sinn Féin been vocal in support for Colin?
Far from it. Very few of those politicians that sit on the policing board, whether it's Sinn Féin or the SDLP, have been largely silent on this whole issue, because at the end of the day, responsibility also lays with those parties for their own complicity in giving political cover to those in the PSNA, in MA5, and in the British establishment for these prolonged detentions, for this victimisation of Colin and others. And they also must bear long-term responsibility for the future ramifications of their complaints and the normalisation of British legislation and the British state in Ireland.
And Paul, I believe you were in a picket in Belfast today.
Yes, that's the case, yeah. There was a picket organised. I just found out about it, a couple of hours prior to it, and I decided that, that I would attend. A picket was organised by a group called Erigi, and it was against the 28-day detention. And I felt that, as a member of Colin's family, who has suffered in relation to the 28-day detention, that I should make my presence felt at the picket. And there was a good crowd, from Lurgan made their way to Belfast, and I have to say I was very heartened when I got to the picket, and by the response from not only the protesters who came over to me and offered all sorts of help, and but also the local population of West Belfast, and who, as they were travelling by in the cars and all, were hitting the horns in support, of what we were trying to protest about,
So, Paul, what comes next for your brother?
Sorry?
What comes next for your brother?
Well, that's a big question. As a family, I think we need to sit down together, and I've spoke to all the members of his family. I've spoke to his wife and my mother and the immediate family, and we've decided to sit down and hold a meeting. And as somebody made a comment the other day, and they used the word deja vu, because this all happened before, with Colin's arrest and all, and we did campaign on his behalf to get his release, and with the help of a lot of people, who we got in touch with, and Colin was eventually released, and we hope to go down that road again, and we will be calling for any assistance that anybody can give us, and even especially from people with influence and people over in America and Europe and elsewhere, we'll be trying to get in touch with them,
Well, I'll tell you one thing. These microphones are going to be open to you. And anytime you have a story to tell, reach out, get in touch, and we'll have you right here, because people need to know about this. And you're not going to find out about it from the media, the other media here, unfortunately. So, Paul, Brendan, thank you very much for coming on, and we want to keep hearing from you about this. It's too important to let go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy.
And you're listening to Radio Free Éireann, and we're discussing the shooting of 2 British soldiers. Colin Duffy, who has been on this show, was charged during the week. That was his brother, Paul Duffy. And Brendan McKenna, frequent guest here on WBAI Radio Free Éireann.